Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Cooking with Robin. My name's Robin Gray, and I'm director of Camrose Public Library. So today I've tried a different camera angle. I'm hoping it works a bit better so that you can see more of what I'm up to over here. And today we are making candied spiced cashews. So basically I kept going to these parties and somebody kept making candied spiced pecans. And they were fantastic. And I begged her for the recipe, and I think she's had to pass that recipe to a lot of people. And ever since I've started making it, I've had tons of people ask me for the recipe too. So this one's quite the crowd pleaser, and I highly recommend making it if you're on snack duty for a party or anything like that. Very tasty. I just chose cashews because, in general, cashews are my favorite nut for snacking. And whenever I go to Bulk Barn or whatever, that's what I get. So that's what I'm making today. So we've started off, I'm roasting the nuts. So 2 cups at 350 on parchment paper for about 10 minutes. So I put them in the oven and toasting them until they're fragrant. So give or take 10 minutes. So I'm going to take those out of the oven now. Oh yeah, you can really smell those. So they're a little bit brown. I hate the idea of burning them and cooking them too long, so I'm going to take them out now. I would say that they're good to go. And I was about to turn off the oven, but no, we'll need that on in a little bit again. So next I'm going to make the sauce. So starting off, I'm going to heat up 2 tablespoons of butter. Yes, so that's in this saucepan here. So while that is heating up, I'm going to mix together the other ingredients. So basically 3 tablespoons of brown sugar. So I'm going to put them all in this bowl. And half a teaspoon of cinnamon. You can feel free to go a little heavy on the cinnamon if you're like me and you love cinnamon. About a 1/3 teaspoon of cayenne pepper. So you can kind of put in less or none at all if you don't really like the spicy element of these nuts, but I recommend putting it in if you can handle a little bit of spice because it really adds a fun kick to it. And then about 1.5 tablespoons of maple syrup. And half a teaspoon of salt. The recipe that I was given says feel free to use a little less salt, but at the same time, the cashews I'm using are completely plain. And so I like to add that half teaspoon in its entirety. So that's starting to form a nice paste. And the butter is melting nicely. So as soon as the butter has melted, then you're going to add those other ingredients, the kind of candied ingredients for the sauce. Apparently should have used a spoon. Yeah, so make sure you get all of that saucy goodness into there. Mix it in together with the butter. And then increase the heat so that the sauce begins to bubble. And start to stir it around lots. And the sugar should kind of become melty and caramelized. So once you've added all those ingredients, then you're going to heat it up until the sugar starts to dissolve and the whole mixture begins to boil. Whew. That didn't take long. So once your sugar has dissolved and your mixture is boiling, then you're going to add the cashews and coat them. So be careful because the mixture could splatter a bit. I kind of wore my apron for a reason today. And make sure to save your parchment paper because you're going to want to put the coated cashews on that because they're going to get sticky otherwise. By now you can turn off the heat. So you're basically just stirring those cashews until they are all thoroughly coated. So here's what it looks like basically. And then you're going to pour it back on that baking sheet. Be sure to try and get all that nice sauce in there. Okay, so then once you've poured it on there, evenly spread it over the baking sheet so that everything is going to get cooked nice and equally. Okay, so here's basically what it looks like now. Everything's all spread nice and neat over the top of the parchment paper, and put them back in that preheated oven at 350 for about another 10 minutes. So now basically all the work is done. Once the 10 minutes have passed, then you're going to take them out of the oven and let them cool on that baking sheet. And only once they're nice and cool, because then they will have solidified more, then you can break them up into bite-sized pieces. And yep, if you keep them in a sealed container, they'll last for about a week. But I challenge you to make them last that long, because usually they're very tasty and a big hit. Okay, so just to go over the ingredients one more time. So basically it's 2 cups of cashews that you put on the baking sheet to roast in the beginning. And then it's 1 tablespoon of butter, followed by, once that's melted, then adding 3 tablespoons of brown sugar, 1/3 teaspoon of chili powder, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon, you can add a little more though if you like, and 1.5 tablespoons of maple syrup. So adding that all together and making a really nice sauce. And yeah, it's a really nice, easy recipe, and everyone thinks that you did all this hard work to make it happen, but yeah, it's really nice and easy. So yeah, thanks so much for joining me, and don't forget that all these other cooking videos are on YouTube under the Camrose Public Library page. So if you want to see other videos on different recipes, please feel free to check it out there. And if there's anything that you would like to see made, please feel free to drop a comment and let me know. And yeah, thanks, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye.